Hello everyone. So Vanguard's been integrated into Warzone for 2 months now, and with Season 2 just coming out, I wanted to make this video to give my thoughts on the whole integration. So in this video I'm going to be talking about what I like about the Vanguard integration, what I don't like about the Vanguard integration, and overall, is it better than the Cold War integration into Warzone last year? So first things first, I'm going to talk about what I like about the Vanguard integration into Warzone. First off, it might just be because it's new, but I much enjoy playing in Caldera than Verdansk. Verdansk was a decent map, and I like how they added the locations from the Modern Warfare multiplayer maps, but in terms of colour scale, it was such a grey and dull place to play in, and it also incentivized camping a lot with the layouts of some of the locations. Visually, Caldera is much more of a bright and vibrant setting than Verdansk, and I don't know if it's something to do with human psychology, but when you're playing a map that's actually colourful and not grey and depressing, it makes it much more enjoyable to play. As for the new Gulag, it's probably the best one we've ever had. It's bright, it's symmetrical, and out of all the Gulags we've had, this is definitely the most fair Gulag. Another thing that I've liked that they've done with the Gulag is that now when you win your Gulag, you redeploy with the weapons that you were using in the Gulag, which is really good because before, you'd win your Gulag but you'd drop in with a shitty pistol and it is nothing, since everywhere is looted and you couldn't pick up anything. When you actually run into someone, you just die because like a pistol is not going to beat any other ground loot weapon. So unlike that now, you could come back with a proper Bren, LMG, AR, SMG, but it's better than a pistol. So like now it's more fair and you actually have more of a chance of winning gunfights coming straight out of the Gulag. Moving on to the weapons, I'm happy to say that the meta is actually really balanced. Like there's not a single thing that's completely broken. There's some guns that are obviously the best ones. The Bren and the MP40 are definitely the top tier guns, but not by like a mile. There's still loads of guns. There's probably 10 guns I'd say that I consider top tier. And it's not like you can just pick one gun and that's all you can use. And apart from those double akimbo fire shotguns that could kill you pretty much instantly that got nerfed about a month ago, there hasn't been any one weapon that's been completely broken, which I don't think Sledgehammer are getting enough credit for because this time last year it was a completely different story. Something else that I like is that the ground loot is not only usable but actually very viable, and I think that's something else that they've improved on is that the ground loot now, you could easily win a game with it and you don't really need to get your loadout as much as you did a few months ago, because a few months ago it was just a rush to get your loadout because the ground loot was so not boring to use, but it was just like really stupid wacky attachment combinations that did nothing. But now the attachment combinations, or even if it's just a base weapon, you can actually use the gun and you can actually feel comfortable using the gun. And the last thing I like about the Vanguard integration into Warzone is that they're finally taking action against the heartbeat sensor. Since Warzone came out, the heartbeat sensor has been the only viable tactical to use, and it's the only one part of a loadout that has just been a no-brainer to use. Like with guns you can obviously switch it up, with your perks you can switch it up, with your lethal you can switch it up, but with tactical it was just no-brainer, use the heartbeat sensor because nothing else was really on its level. And it got to the point where everyone became really dependent on the heartbeat sensor, and as Jev pointed out a lot, there literally wasn't an interaction or a fight you could get into someone without putting up that heartbeat sensor every 5 seconds checking where they are, and that made people play much less aggressive and made people think way too much about their interactions before they actually got into it. And now that they've nerfed the heartbeat sensor and also buffed the other tacticals like the tactical stim, they didn't buff it but I don't think, but the stuns, flashes, people are using more stuff instead of their heartbeat sensor, and in turn they're playing more aggressively, which is always a good thing. So those are the things that I like about the Vanguard integration into Warzone. Now moving on to the things that I'm not so fond of. First, I just mentioned that the heartbeat sensor nerf has made people play more aggressive, and that's a good step, and I thought that that would lead to them making more changes to make people play more aggressive, but then they changed the UAV prices to $6,000, which I don't get that. Like that's just a net bad thing. That doesn't make anything better at all. It makes people play less aggressive, it like disturbs the flow of the game, and it was just needless. No one was asking for it, and it made people, or it made me at least, it made me feel much less confident to roam around the open area, because there's much more open area in Caldera. It's a much more vast map than Verdansk because there's way more buildings in Verdansk, but it made me much less confident to roam around that area because I wasn't as aware of the stuff around me, and I couldn't get that information as often as I'd like because the price of the UAV was being increased. And if anything, with the nerfs to the heartbeats, I think that the price of the UAV should be reduced. The main change that they introduced with this Vanguard integration that I absolutely hated was that the loadouts couldn't be bought until the first circle. The reason they gave for this change was to lower the skill gap, because higher skilled players wouldn't have access to their fully customized guns as early, but this is stupid reasoning in my opinion, and it made me feel a bit less confident to challenge other players in the early game, and it made the early game just feel sort of pointless because there's nothing to aim for in that first circle. You can get money, you can get UAVs, but you don't really want to push people when you get UAVs if you don't have your fully customized guns. And that's like the main selling point of Warzone. It's the main thing that differentiates it from the other BRs, is that you can get your fully customized weapons. Why would they make it so you can only get it for like 7 minutes in the game and not get away earlier? It was a really stupid change. I'm glad that it's been removed now, but it shouldn't have been added in the first place at all, and it should have been removed way sooner. It should not have taken them over a month to change this when they got so much backlash and so much pushback from the community. Really stupid decision. I'm happy that they've gone back to the old way now, but that was my main big issue with the Vanguard integration for the first 6 or 7 weeks. Another thing that I think definitely needs to be improved on is that the time to kill desperately needs to be made longer, more than ever now, because there's so much open space with this new Caldera map, is that when you're traversing through that open space and you get shot, you're pretty much dead. There's nothing really you can do at all, because the TTK is so fast, you react and you're dead already. It's not like Fortnite where you can build cover over yourself, and since there's more open space you can't run to cover. So I think now more than ever the time to kill needs to be, I think by about 50 milliseconds, I'd say at the very least, it needs to be increased. And I'd say now my main big issue with the Vanguard integration, and this is only with Caldera, but the visibility on Caldera is absolute fucking wank. It's so dog shit. I'm not sure if it's my PC with the, like, it looks grainy, or if it's because of all the trees and tessellation that they've added, but it's so hard when you're in the open to see where you're getting shot from. There have been countless times where I've get shot and I just shoot in the general area of where I'm being shot from because I can't see the player, and it's so annoying. It's 100% the biggest problem I have with the new Vanguard integration. It's just the visibility. It's so hard, and like, I'm not sure if it might just be my PC because I haven't been seeing other people talk about this. But it's just whenever I get shot, I can't see the player unless it's inside or I'm close to them. Beyond 100 meters when I'm outside, I cannot see the player. It's so grainy with all the trees they can camouflage in it. I think it's definitely the biggest issue with the Caldera map at the moment. And finally, it's COD. It's always going to be like this, but some people still play like absolute fucking bitches. I'm going to show a few clips now on screen. There's been a few improvements to try to get people to play more aggressive, but at the end of the day, it is COD. Some people are going to play so annoyingly and frustratingly, so I don't know why I'm complaining. I'm just sort of venting because nothing's going to be done about this. There's always going to be people who play like this at the end of the day, but yeah, I just want to sort of vent out my rage to all of you.
I am not dead. You were one of 25 left. We lost that one. Come back stronger next time.
So to answer my original question that I said at the start of the video, is the Vanguard integration better than the Cold War integration that we got last year? 100% yes. The Vanguard integration into Warzone has been way more of a smooth and more complete integration than what we got last year. We got much more content than we do with the Cold War integration. With the Cold War integration, we got a minimal reskin to Verdansk and obviously the Cold War weapons, but this year we got an entire new map, we got planes and actual positive gameplay changes. There's been so many more buffs and nerfs to things that are, for the most part, I'd say 90% of them are actually positive to the gameplay experience, and that's much more that can be said for last year. Also, the meta is in a far better place than it was last year. If you think back to last year, for those of you who were playing Warzone back then, you had the Mac 10 that would absolutely beam people, the DMR and the Type 63 that were tree tapping people, the AUG and M16, the burst rifles that would just beam you from across the map, and the FFAR, which was, there's no point using an SMG because it would out-TTK all SMGs, and that wasn't changed for like 3 months. It just reigned supreme. The meta is way better. There's still top tier weapons. As I said earlier, the Bren and the MP40 are definitely the two best guns in the game right now. But look, there's always going to be the best guns in the game. There's always going to be a meta, but it's not to the point where they're the only thing you can use. And for those of you who were around during the FFAR phase, that was the only viable assault rifle. If you didn't have that in your loadout, you were going to die. It literally was that bad. And I think some people have definitely forgotten just how bad the weapon balancing was for the first 4 or 5 months of 2021. It was absolutely horrendous, and it's in a far, far better place now. There's, as I said earlier, there's no weapons that are completely broken apart from those akimbo shotguns, which got nerfed pretty quickly. There's no weapons that have been just let reign supreme like the FFAR was. They're much more quick to do this stuff, and I think the Edgehammer need to get a bit more credit for that, because it was an absolute disgrace to weapon balancing last year. And for those of you who were playing Warzone back then, you can definitely back me up on that. So in conclusion, I think the Vanguard integration went very well and hands down better than the Cold War integration went last year. Caldera is pretty good, it's definitely better than Verdansk, but I just don't think I enjoy playing that large scale style of BR anymore. Since I started playing Rebirth in about May of last year, I just can't go back to that BR. It feels too slow. I don't like not being able to just redeploy and get back into the action. It's slower pace. I don't really like that. I think I'm more of a Rebirth person, but I will acknowledge Caldera is definitely better than Verdansk. And I haven't played it yet, but Season 2 looks very promising. They're bringing bomber planes, new locations, redeploy balloons like the ones in Apex, the portable decontamination station, which allows you to sort of have a breather in the zone, the nebula ammo and the nebula kill streak, which is like sort of ammo that shoots like gas bullets. I haven't seen it, I haven't used it yet, but that's as far as I know. And then obviously various changes and buffs and nerfs and gameplay changes, just quality of life stuff that I'm seeing coming. So I really like what I'm seeing from the developers right now. You can tell that they're trying to be more creative with the changes that they're implementing. And what I also, the big thing that I really like, is they're being more transparent and they're communicating more with the community. And out of all the years, the Modern Warfare, the Cold War, and the Vanguard, I think this year they've definitely been the most communicative with the community. They're actually trying to resolve some issues. And I really wish we got this last year when I was playing Warzone more. So yeah, in terms of the transparency and how the developers are communicating, the amount of content in the game, and the amount of fun there is to be had in Warzone, this is probably the best state it's ever been in. But I'd have to say, in terms of the general atmosphere of Warzone, it might just be me, but it's definitely the worst state it's ever been. This past season has been the least I've ever played Warzone. I just don't really have that drive or don't really have that want to play this game anymore. And I have a video talking about that more in detail. But yeah, the atmosphere hasn't really been there for me this season. So thanks so much for watching this video. I know it's very late. The Warzone integration happened all the way back in December 8th, and here I am in the middle of February talking about it. But if you don't know, as I explained in my last video, for the entire month of January, my PC was acting fucking bandy. It would crash every time I played COD. And I just couldn't make a review of a game or couldn't formulate thoughts of a game that I can't play. And then recently I was working on making the 700 subscriber special as fast as I could. So I'm only now having the time to work on the Vanguard integration into Warzone now. But yeah, these are my thoughts. As I said, I have a video coming up about what I think about COD. Recently. Just have some thoughts that I want to get off my chest. But yeah, thanks so much for watching the video. Like if you like, dislike if you didn't. Not that it matters because the dislike has been removed. Yes, I'm going to say that as long as it's been removed. And yeah, did I say subscribe? All that good stuff. And take care of yourselves.
But I can make orange rhyme with banana. Or nana.